Explosive declassified documents were just posted that show the Biden administration was working in coordination with the FBI to undermine credible accusations of corruption against the Biden family. And so, this FBI task force and its operation Round River has been fully exposed, and it shows that the FBI was participating in a highly partisan probe that was dividing the critics of the Biden administration into conduits of Russian disinformation, and thus their stories were being dismissed and deflected within the agency, and also that there were targets of this Russian disinformation, such as Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and others, including George Soros. So the obvious implication of this is that the FBI had been weaponized, and the defensive briefing that they gave the Biden administration shows that they were very much a partisan and polarized agency at the time the second Trump term took over. Before we get into the story, please like, share, and comment at the Becker Brief. We appreciate your support for common sense journalism. Now, FBI Director Kash Patel announced recently that he had disbanded a foreign influence task force that had participated in a number of schemes, including this Round River operation that was seeking to sabotage the testimony of 14 confidential human sources and to tarnish the reputation of media organizations such as One America News Network and Fox News, and also Trump allies like Rudy Giuliani and even cabinet officials such as former Attorney General William Barr and former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. So this was a large operation to discredit any investigations into the Biden administration for potential corruption tied to Ukraine. And the way that the counterintelligence operation was doing it is it was tying it to Russian sources that were making similar claims, and they were muddying up the waters and tarnishing any credible reports that Hunter Biden likely shouldn't have gotten that job with Burisma. He wasn't a qualified consultant, and actually he was being used as a conduit by Zlochevsky and other Ukrainians in order to get influence with the Biden administration. And a lot of this happened during, the groundwork was laid during the second Barack Obama term, and then in the aftermath of all of this, it was started to be arranged. And by the time the Biden administration had gotten into office, there were a lot of questions about whether or not Joe Biden had participated in the firing of a prosecutor that was looking into Burisma, of course, an oil and gas company in Ukraine. And again, that oil and gas company had hired Hunter Biden. So the appearance of impropriety was striking. Thus, any investigations would be completely proper. And that also includes the phone call that President Trump later made to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, inquiring about valid information that might show that Joe Biden was engaged in improper foreign influence. And of course, as we all know, you're required under U.S. statute to declare yourself as a foreign agent. The FARA law, for example, Hunter Biden appears to have violated that as well and has gotten off scot-free with just a little bit of a slap on the wrist for a lot of his tax violations. But of course, behind all of this was a large shell company operation, and there is ties not just to Ukraine, but also to China. And it appears that there was a huge issue with foreign influence in the Biden administration, a lot of alarming questions, and thus media outlets that are reporting on it and officials who were investigating it were well within their rights, and it was completely proper to raise questions and to follow the leads and to query confidential human sources and to look at their FBI documents and to assess whether or not the President of the United States was compromised. That is a national security issue. It is not a partisan witch hunt to do such things, but that's the way the FBI was framing it. They acted like the Trump administration was in collusion with Russia, just like they did with the Oxford comma situation recently that was also reported in the news. And that is another alarming abuse of power because it made it look like Donald Trump fired former FBI Director James Comey because of Russian disinformation. And this is all symptomatic of problems that we have had. It is illustrative of the deep state and the way that they've been acting. But FBI Director Kash Patel is doing the American people a favor by giving us transparency, a look behind the curtain into the way the deep state runs, and it is highly disturbing. These revelations show that the FBI under the Biden administration was very much weaponized and the tip of the spear for the Democratic Party. So weigh in with your thoughts about this story. We always appreciate hearing from you at the Becker Brief.